So how do we calculate the percentage composition of a compound? When we say percentage composition, we mean how much the substances that make a compound, how much are they? How can we express them in percentage? This is very simple. If you just remind ourselves, how do we calculate percentage normally, even outside of chemistry? So suppose in an exam, the total mark in an exam is 8 marks, and your score is 5 marks. You know, the teacher will say you score 5/8. That's what the teacher will say. So how do we express this in percentage? So it is just very simple. What you score over overall marks times 100%. So it means your score in percentage is going to be 5 divided by 8. 5 divided by 8 multiplied by 100. So it means you get 62.5%. So this is your mark in percentage. So this is what we are going to do. This is how we are going to calculate the percentage composition of compounds, of any compound as well. So percentage composition of a compound, as I mentioned earlier, it tells you how much of each element it contains as a percentage of the total mass. You have the total mass, and you want to express the content in percentage. So how do we do that? So let me start from a very good simple example. I call this one example 1. So the question says calculate the percentage of oxygen in sulfur dioxide. Calculate the percentage of oxygen in sulfur dioxide. So let's try and see how we can approach this. So I will say the total mark. Total mark here, it will be like the mass, the relative atomic mass, the MR of the compound. So what's the compound? Our compound is sulfur 4 oxide, SO2. That's the compound. And then the MR of SO2, MR of SO2 will equal to MR of sulfur with MR of oxygen by 2. MR of sulfur is 32. Sulfur is 32, and the oxygen is 2 into 16. Then we add this together. So it means it's going to be 32 plus 32 plus 32, which is equal to 64 grams. So this is the total mark, or the MR of the compound. So we liken it as the total mark over there. Now let's look at so we are asked to calculate percentage of oxygen. So we need to say your score. Your score will be equivalent to the MR or AR of oxygen. It will be equivalent to mR of oxygen in the compound. So AR means relative atomic mass of oxygen in the compound. So of course, oxygen, we have 2 oxygen there. We have O2 in SO2. So this is our O2. So that is oxygen in SO2. So what is O2? O2 is equal to 2 times 16, which is 32 grams. So that's your score. Now the percentage by mass, or percentage of oxygen. So this is very simple now, right? In SO2 will equal to 32 divided by 64 times 100%. So the answer will be 50% without disturbing ourselves from any calculation. 50%. So what if they ask us to calculate percentage of sulfur? So this is very simple. So it's going to be the total percentage minus the total mass in percent minus the percentage of oxygen. So the total, everything is 100%. 100%. And that of oxygen is 50%. So for copper, for sulfur, it's going to be 50% as well. If you are not convinced enough, you can go over it and do the calculation again. You just put sulfur over the total mass so you get everything. So that's how to do to calculate percentage by mass of a substance in a compound. I'll give you some questions later, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.